Shifting gears into the brighter side, Congressman Ron Paul's son, Senator Rand Paul, has come out and pointed out that Interpol is trying to do deals with the U.S. to extradite Americans, not under U.S. law and extradition agreements, but to extradite us under foreign law. And at the Durban, South Africa meeting a few months ago, the UN said that if you disagree with man-made global warming and don't want to pay your money to Al Gore and Rothschild, you should be arrested, and Interpol will come snatch you off the street, put a bag over your head, and throw you on a rendition flight that flew into the U.S. bringing in opium that they delivered to us and fly you out to a torture site overseas. That'll teach you to not talk bad about Lord Rothschild. That's a big news-making interview. And one other part of our big interview exclusive with Senator Rand Paul yesterday. Rand Paul leaves the door open for BP slot. Vice president position would give Senator an influence on the direction the country goes. Quote, Paul was included on a short list of 10 possible candidates to become Mitt Romney's running mate by the Washington Post earlier this week. Speculation that Rand or his father, Congressman Ron Paul, would be in line for the VP slot has circulated for months. And then that opens up a larger debate here. The fact that the system would even debate trying to get them into their system shows that people are waking up Liberty's popular. So is it a co-op to even discuss it? Or is it good to leave the door open and talk about having that type of influence for constitutional issues? All I know is Rand Paul has a great voting record. We'll ask Joel Skousen coming up what he thinks about that later in the transmission this evening, but a big story at Infowars.com. Continuing here, it's been 2 years since the Gulf oil spill took place, and we have seen massive fish die-offs, death in many areas of the Gulf with the flora and fauna living in the sea. And we've seen a lot of problems in the coastal regions with continual die-off, not just of plants, but also animals. But now Al Jazeera is reporting on major studies in the United States showing huge increases in deformities in all sorts of different life forms, crustaceans, amphibians, fish. And, of course, the bigger disaster in all of this is that the crude oil itself is not that toxic. The core exit they used tens of millions of gallons on to make it sink to the bottom was far more toxic and has been connected to these problems. Speaking of deformities in fish, we're seeing massive deformity increases in humans, and birth defects are skyrocketing all across the world. We're seeing 3- to 4-fold increases in U.S. troops having deformed children, 14 times increase in Fallujah where they used depleted uranium. Shows the madness of the global elite taking the toxic waste of nuclear weapons development and putting it into weapon systems. But there's a story on USA Today. Girl born with no hands wins National Penmanship Award for her beautiful writing. And it just shows that even though the globalists are attacking humanity, and increasing pediatric cancers by more than 10,000%, the human spirit will continue to prevail against their most vicious attacks. So a positive story, a silver lining in an otherwise very, very bleak situation.